Do I know exactly what a halo eye is? No. Is this a halo eye if I were inventing them? Yes. What is up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to be playing with Isamaya Beauty. I thought it was pronounced Isamaya, but then I watched her videos on her channel and she pronounces her name Isamaya Ffrench. She is really interesting, really cool. I love her style of doing makeup and I picked up almost the whole collection. The only thing that I didn't buy was her serum. It's just like a quadruple hyaluronic serum that's supposed to make your skin look really gorgeous and glowy. But there was a kind of PR mailer style box that was like an all-in-one of the other 4 products, and that is what I got. It was $200, and in that you get her lip gloss it's called the Lip Lac Maximizing Lip Serum in Black Veil. It's one of those really beautiful black tinting kind of lip glosses. It's also plumping. And then the Rubber Lash Mascara, which is a curling mascara. The Brow Lac Brow Laminator, the transparent brow gel that's like super hold. And then this is the Industrial Color Pigments eyeshadow palette, which is the thing that I said I would probably buy. Like I said that this was the only thing I would buy from the collection, but when I took a look at it, I was like, okay, this is a complete and composed idea. And I saw that there was an easy way for me to just get the whole collection and realized that like that was a better way probably to review it, was to put it in the context of her vision, as it were. So I have already had the chance to play with these. In fact, I will put the look that I did recently up on the screen because I feel like if you're gonna be looking at this palette, you're gonna be thinking industrial, you're gonna be thinking grungy rock and roll kind of eyes, maybe even goth. And the first thing you're gonna be looking at is the shade Whip, which is this super sparkly, gorgeous black that has this just incredible depth to it, but also they build on each other. And I wanted to make sure you guys got to see that in a look, even though that's not what we're gonna be doing today. I didn't want it to just be one look because it's like you kind of have to go with that. You have to show that one, but it's really kind of a one trick in that sense. Like you layer things with it and stuff like that, but it really steals the show. I wanna play with some of the things that are a little bit more subtle today, and that is mainly because I'm just gonna go ahead and not bury the lead here. This is one of the most interesting palettes that I've ever played with. It is super uncommon in the choices of curation. The formulas are so unique, and I feel like there are a lot of ways that this could have gone wrong, like just with a zig instead of a zag on certain formulas, but that her vision really comes to life and that the formulas are, you can tell, like tested to death and back. There's just a lot of attention and passion for beauty and for makeup in these formulas, and so that's why I'm excited to show them to you. And just because I know that like there's gonna be curiosity around it, and I like to break the spell a little bit as I'm obsessing about new makeup, I did pull out a lot of my eyeshadows to swatch next to some of the kind of marquee shades, although they kind of are all marquee shades, but some of the satiny, shimmery, you know, textural shades in the palette, so that you can see where they exist in the context of things you either are familiar with or might already have. So, I've already got my foundation on, my contour, my bronzer. I have no idea where we're gonna go. We're gonna start with swatching, but let's just see where the day takes us. Let's jump in. I scratched my neck like 20 minutes ago, so it's going to be red for the rest of my life. That's the way that these things work. So, there are 14 shades in this palette. That's a lot of shades. It's $115. There should be a lot of shades, but it's, you know, 4 more shades than you'd get in a Pat McGrath palette. Listening to her talk about them, the formulas themselves are actually really unique, like shade to shade. So first of all, these 2 like matte black looking shades, like when I first opened this, I was like, why do I need 2 of the same shade? Like obviously I need to do some research here. They are both what she describes as a putty texture. I mean, yes, you could argue that like the blue sparkles in one of them makes a huge difference, but like To me, they're more or less the same. That's not a critique, it's just reality. But the main thing that I notice is the nuance of these colors, especially as I was swatching them against the rest of my collection. There were maybe a couple where I was like, okay, nailed it. Got a shade in another palette in my collection that really, really like dupes the vibes, as it were, you know, as Hannah says. But most of these, they have something of their own to offer that just sets them apart. It's this beautiful green. And then you start to get into these ones that look really, really intense in the pan. And what happens is they're actually like pretty sheer on the skin. They're more like toppers almost. I really appreciate her taking like entire pans in her collection and saying this is supposed to be something where the skin shows through. Because that's a scary thing sometimes on this, you know, social media beauty world where people are like, swatches, 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 but it looks really, really awesome on the eyes, you know? And there are a few that do that are just these really beautiful kind of like show the skin through but add a reflective quality type of shades. Then there's this like periwinkle leaning like silver kind of color. Swatches start to get a little weird as like we get into the hair on my arms. In fact, I'm gonna do Whip up here because Whip is like, I feel like the most exciting shade of the whole palette. That's Whip. And it's just this grungy, gorgeous, shimmery black that just doesn't stop giving. I've seen shades like that in palettes before, but then when they get on the skin, they're a little underwhelming. This is not that. This goes on like some kind of ultra saturated rock and roll lacquer on the skin. And last but certainly not least, we have a couple more of these like sheer ones. One is kind of green and one is just almost like a straight up silver. It is a really interesting color story. Again, 14 shades, a lot of different textures. I don't know how many textures there are, but there are a lot. I feel like she designed this not just for her style, but also to just kind of like make your brain churn on possibilities because there's just a lot going on here. And you can make mud, but it's kind of like a Pat McGrath palette in that sense where it's really beautiful mud. And I do feel like this, in terms of the creativity, the completeness of her vision as far as the eyeshadow palette is concerned, and the textures, like the brilliance of the textures, it's comparable to Danessa Myricks or Pat McGrath. It's different from their formulas. I don't say it's like a dupe for their formulas, but it has that same level of attention that you can feel. Also, I didn't show you this, but this is more of like a toned down version of the image that's on the front of the PR mailer, which is literally her in like suffocated bondage with like a tube coming out of her mouth to breathe. It is not something that makes me comfortable to look at. That's kind of what bondage is supposed to do. It's supposed to sort of stress you out, and some people like that and some people don't. I'm gonna go ahead and say, not to kink shame anybody, but it's not my kink. I'm going to swatch a few things here. The first thing here was one of the closest black colors that I found, and I kind of just knew it as soon as I saw it, and this is Liza from Lisa Eldridge, like Liquid Luxes. It's a tongue twister. And it's not as glittery at all, but it does have like a similar vibe to it, right? Where it's like you kind of get the black shift silver. And the thing that you start to notice is that these are most comparable to standalones and liquid shadows. They're not shades that you typically find in an eyeshadow palette because most people would surround any one of these colors with a bunch of other colors that are kind of in its similar family, kind of like that NARS palette, which I did pull. So you see that a color like maybe this right here might exist in here. It kind of does, but it's a little too glittery and doesn't really do the trick. That's the, you know, similar NARS shade, but it's much more glittery and sparse. It doesn't have the same kind of consistent quality to it, but it's surrounded by a bunch of other colors that contextualize it to really bring it into your comfort zone. And like, there's definitely something to be said for that. It's meant to be a very comfort zone type palette. Even this like green gold, which I feel like is one of my like favorite shades in the palette to use, it's comparable to something like that, but it still doesn't have like the gold glitter in it that one does. I think we're gonna actually focus the eye look around that shade today because I think it's kind of the most wearable one. We've done a lot of green eye looks lately, and since you got to see the black already, we'll kind of focus on those like oranges and like the rusty colors. Sorry, I'm in like a really intense mode when I am swatching because I know I can get really chaotic, and so I just get very matter of fact. Otherwise, it's even worse to edit. So the other black that I have in my collection that I felt like was comparable is actually from the Olivia Palermo Soiree palette. It shifts blue, which is different from the kind of multi-chrome shift that this one has. And this is kind of what I would associate with that like underwhelming descriptor, where you kind of start to spread it out and it sort of loses its bite, right? Now, these greens don't look exactly like the ones from the Escape Pod, which was like my initial thought. I thought that the Kaleidos Escape Pod, those greens, were probably going to be exactly the same, but they are much more slime and lime, as I called them. I know I'm having a terrible time here. It almost makes the Isamaya ones look like shamrocky by comparison, which they're not. Then we get into the Pat McGrath holiday palette from last year. And I would say that like you can find a handful of the, you know, very exciting shimmer shades, something similar in here. Pat's got a similar kind of coppery orange here. Very similar kind of coppery brown in here. And her green is even more slightly blue, but much more similar to the Isamaya one than the Kaleidos ones. Does that make sense? Does that put it in context for you? So we're gonna start with this one right here. I'm gonna put that one kind of like, we're gonna go almost like a smoky eye. And I am not using a primer because you do not need it with these. You might have seen in the original look that I showed right in the beginning, look at that color, that it was creasing a little bit on my inner corners, and that's because I had doused myself with Auric Glow Lust before. Like I wasn't wearing any foundation, it was just Auric Glow Lust and some concealer before I put it on, and I was wearing the Glossier After Balm underneath it. My skin was a little thirsty this morning, so I kept that look on for, you know, a couple of hours probably before it did that, but they have a really intense, lovely, secure grip to them. Taking that underneath my eyes on either side here, I think I just decided on the fly that I'm gonna try and do a halo eye. I was actually inspired by Naomi John. She did this negative space under her eye halo eye in one of her videos recently. And what I really dig about these shadows is how well they layer. There are so many shadows that look like these in the pan or look like these in a swatch, and then they're so slick that you really sacrifice the ability to layer and create because the shadow kind of sheds the next layer, right? But look at how you can blur this, how it can move. And then when we stick things on top of it, they should stick. Don't make me look like a fool, Isamaya. This formula, I hope it doesn't make me look like an idiot for saying that, but especially with that look that I did with Whip, she said, you know, you can use this as a base, and she's right. I was able to like throw that really gorgeous chunky lavender silver on top, and it worked great. It's like a periwinkle, really. I'm gonna take a smaller brush. This is my 18 brush from Sephora. And I'm just actually like dragging this down. I reached up and rubbed my eye earlier when I was wearing the other look, and the way that it kind of like spread underneath my eye, I was like, wait, that looks awesome. This really lends itself to like a smudgy, grungy look. I should have put a warning up front that was like, Hannah, don't watch this video in July. Wait until August. Wait until your no-buy is over. Because this is like angry eyes, which is what she's been really like making, shopping her stash. Not that she doesn't have, you know, an excellent sense of restraint and also an exhaustive collection of gorgeous, gorgeous textures that she would be able to probably put something together that could dupe the vibes. So this would be a really good dupe the vibes video for her. All right, so this is just one color so far. It's this funky brown, gold, green kind of shade that doesn't look green at all on the skin, but it's like a green gold glitter. And I'm just really, really pulling that up. Buildy, buildy. Just incredible. I love it. I love that she just like came out guns blazing, you know? Like she wasn't like, I'm just gonna have an initial release of like, you know, some single pan eyeshadows and you can pick your favorites. And like, I understand it's a budget thing for people. And there are reasons that brands do things or don't do things, but like, she did the thing. I think that the halo is going to be this gold right here. I love how I was like, I'm gonna do a wearable look. You know what? I never said that. I said I was going to use the wearable shades. It might not have enough contrast to it, but we're gonna do that also down below. And then I think I might have to pull out the big guns here and go with this weird freaking silver. What happens if I do that? Is that gonna be really, really insane? Or should I just like top it with that silver first and see what happens? It's pretty, but like, that's really cool. That's what's up. Dude, are you freaking kidding me? Like how easy that was? Do I know exactly what a halo eye is? No. Is this a halo eye if I were inventing them? Yes. I'm going to take my pinky in that same silver. I'm gonna extend that below. Whoops, that kind of got everywhere. That's okay though. Oh, that's such a mood. Oh my. Just truly intoxicating to use, guys. So fun. Okay. That silver that I tried to put first, which is like the sheer silver, that's what I'm going to kind of blur around this with to show you what those look like on the skin on their own. So, like it's not there. Awesome! It's so awesome looking. It's so cool. I'm gonna clean up just a tibby touch here with my 207 from BK and just kind of blend mainly right in here, but kind of everywhere. Trying to preserve the halo of it all. And I do want to take this brush, I'm gonna dip it into the just regular black right here, this kind of funky putty black, and deepen my crease with that. Just because we can, you know. But I don't want to lose the halo effect, so I'm gonna kind of pull that up a little and go back into the original shade, same brush, and go back over it a little where I covered it up. But it is like Pat McGrath in the sense that like as you are changing your mind, it does allow you to do that. Sometimes like it can be an issue of formula, sometimes it can be an issue of colors where it's like you change your mind and things kind of start to look muddy because they're too dissonant, and sometimes they start to look muddy because the products don't want to layer on one another as well. This does both. I feel like the shifts make sense with one another and they still kind of like continue to layer. Actually, let's take a little bit of this. This is actually not a super uncommon kind of color. There's one kind of similar to it in some of the Pat McGrath palettes, but it's just like a clear iridescent. It's a clear iridescent that shifts like lightning lavender. Do you see? And so I want to use that sparingly because it's going to kind of take over. Or we let it take over. We kind of also place that on top of the silver and let it just light everything up. Yeah, that's what we do. Like, did we make any decisions? Did we make every decision? You decide. That's why makeup is so awesome. And then I'm just going to take the regular iridescent sheer silver on a denser, smaller brush here and just kind of use that to finish this out. And I'm gonna layer a little bit. I'm like sweating. It's either hot in here or I'm just really excited about this eye look. Maybe a little bit of both. I love it! Dude, check it out. Like, is that a proper halo eye? I have no idea. I have no idea. But I know I like it. I know it's grungy and fantastic. Okay, there are other things in this collection besides the eyeshadow palette, but I do feel like she deserved that much time. I do feel like that was like an appropriate amount of time to give to the palette. Let's do brows real quick. I'm gonna zoom through penciling them in before we do this brow pomade because I did it the other way around and it's actually pretty hard to get pencil to show up after you've put the pomade on. Anyway, the camera's gonna cut me off anyway, so I want to see if I can use the black putty eyeshadow as a black putty eyeliner, and boy howdy does that work really nicely. Works great. In fact, you can really see the putty consistency because you can see where I stuck my brush in there. I was like ding ding ding. So okay, let's talk about this funky brow pomade. So it comes in this little guy. It says Isamaya on it. It is glass, frosted glass with a plastic lid. And it also comes with this extremely easy to lose little fork. No, it's a comb. And you can use this side to comb this through your brows and this side to kind of particulate your brows as you see fit. So let's do that. I'm gonna just smooth it right over the top. I'm not sure if this is what you're supposed to do necessarily, but this is what worked for me the first time. But I'm going to just do one at a time because this stuff does dry. And just like the Refi Brow Gel, it looks a little bit weird right at first because it almost makes your brows look white or like a little bit more invisible. But when it dries, that goes away. So I'll take this little guy and sort of draw right into my eyebrows. I will particulate them. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff. Oh my gosh, that's the stuff of magic. Just having that little tool. What? Why have I never done that before? All right, let's do the other one. That was super easy. And you could do that. She shows blocking your brows with it like you would to do drag makeup or just to look unhinged, as she calls it. You can use it to like draw other brows on top, whatever. Or you can just do that, you know what I mean? And they're groomed, they're down. They're laminated. So I am just brushing them straight up. And then using, this is the easier brow. This is the less finicky brow anyway. But I'm using that little tail to put them where I want them. Dude, Why have I never done that before? That is so freaking cool. Yeah, all right, let's let that dry, and I might need to kind of try and sweet talk the pencil back in there, but let's pick a blush real quick. What blush do I want to use? Maybe we use a little bit of that RMS. This is RMS Maiden's Blush, which is kind of a little bit tan, sunburny kind of colored. I know this is gonna sound crazy, but I don't want my cheeks to steal the show. Obviously, they would have to do a lot to steal the show at this point. And then I do want something really pretty and like light lilac. So this is a pretty good dupe that's a lot more pigmented, but a pretty good dupe for the Dior Rosy Glow Blush in 01 Pink. This is from Kaleidos, and I do not know the shade, but it's the one that looks like that. The foundation that I'm wearing today is the Revitalizing Foundation, the Camellia one from No. 1 de Chanel. The concealer I'm wearing is Kosas because I can always count on it. The bronzer is actually that Zara bronzer that I like so much. And my contour is the Natasha Denona contour, and I'm wearing some Kosas powder as well. Let's go ahead and spritz my face because this is not a tubing mascara. I'm actually gonna use my Magic Radiance, my Fix Plus Magic Radiance, because the main thing that she talks about with that hyaluronic acid serum that I did not pick up is that she really likes like smooth, glassy skin. And that is what this gives you. So I wanna give the Isamaya look as much as I can. Let's talk about this mascara while my face dries. So she set out to do something that is supposed to be like the blackest black, which is not necessarily my thing because brown mascara has a more natural effect on me, but are we going for natural today? Absolutely not. So it's got three or four different black pigments in it, including an ultramarine that's supposed to make the whites of your eyes pop. And also it is, and I'm telling you guys, can confirm it is a curling mascara. It's awesome. I went back in for the second coat and I was like, who curled my lashes? Who did that? Cause it wasn't me. All her stuff has the little piercings in it. You know, all the stuff from this collection had like, not the eyeshadow palette obviously, but you know, has these like silver piercings. A pairing suggestion, part of a complete breakfast. The brush is just very different. So it's curved, it's plastic, it's spiky, and you can poke yourself in the eye with it. And then it's got a little secret one that you'll wipe off if you're, you know what I mean? You're trying to like wipe this off. You're like, why is there a glob of mascara? It's not, it's the wand. It's got like a mini wand at the end. So this is a terrifying thing to put close to your eye at first because, you know, you just kind of don't know where everything is, especially when you don't have like sublime vision, the way I do not have sublime vision. Also, it's like soft and rubbery to the touch. It's very sensuous. And this doesn't really, that thing doesn't really get in the way. You would think that it would, but it doesn't. And the best way to do this actually, instead of trying to like use just one part of it, is to just embrace the curve of the wand and lay it directly at the base of your lashes. And like, that's gonna give you payoff. Cause like you can use sort of the top of it here and you'll get this very like lengthened effect, right? See that? Oh, we can watch them curl as they dry. So what we'll do is actually, I'll just do the lengthened effect for the first coat so that we can see the curl really clearly. And then I'll go in for the second coat and really like build up a big hunky chunky lash that can actually stand up to this eye look. But if you are familiar or comfortable, I guess, with really like getting a wand close to your eye, you can feel if you turn the brush, like certain parts of it don't really grip your lashes and they'll just leave kind of a little bit of product. And if you turn it another way, you can feel the product really grip on your lashes. And that's going to put more at like the base. So I'll use the outside here. I'm still getting the hang of this guy. I'm gonna leave that there for the moment. I do think that I want to go in with just a little bit of a colored brow gel because all of this needs to stand up to what's on my eyes, right? So I'm gonna take some of my, I'm gonna take some of my Kosas here and just kind of go over that, even if it kind of kills some of the effect. You guys saw what it was capable of. But it does have quite a bit of hold. It does do a really nice job of actually like staying. And while my lashes continue to dry and to curl themselves, we're going to talk about this here lip. So if you're unfamiliar with black lip glosses, they've been kind of a viral thing lately. The way that it goes on, it has this kind of like natural looking darkened effect. It kind of just takes your own lip color down a couple of shades, and e.l.f. has put one out. It smells nice, but you can tell that the scent is compensating for the chemical that's making it a plumper. Stop. Oh, that's phenomenal. We'll get that in a minute. So it's also a plumping gloss, and if you apply like a light coat of it, you do get that effect, but if you apply even more than a little bit more than a light coat, it starts to kind of gather in the lines on your lips and look kind of weird. Do you see what I mean? Now, in the initial video that I showed you, just a little clip where I had done all the black, I was not wearing this. I was wearing Gucci lipstick in Lorna Doone on my lips with Love Potion from Pat McGrath on top, because I had like waterlined, I had tightlined, I had done black and black mascara like on my lower lash line, which is not something I ever do. And so I wanted to like basically blank my lips out. I don't want to do that in this case. So you start to see, right, how my lashes have kind of curled themselves, and we'll apply the next coat and you'll see it even more because I'll actually have mascara on the very ends of my lashes. Like, it just opens your eyes up so much. That is not a natural curl in my eyelashes. Like, mine do have a little bit of a natural curl to them, but not that much. Starting to feel the tingle on my lips from it starting to plump. It's not at all like a bothersome plump. Now, the lip gloss, while I think that it is an interesting little trick, and I still don't know if it's like my ideal look, but at the same time, it really goes with the color story here, doesn't it? You know, it really, really picks up some of the cool, subtle colors that come from like the shadow and the grunge of mixing those colors together, and the way that they are sitting kind of in the contours of my eyes and stuff. But if it were me, I would actually layer it over something. Wow. So since I have it out already, this is like my ideal blank my lips out kind of nude shade. This is Gucci, Lorna Doone. It is a very, very good way to get my eyes to pop and not my lips, but still have them look sexy and like still be there. But I want to see what it looks like if I put this over it. It really smells like it's gonna be one of the spicy ones that stings, but it's not. So all that really did, I feel like, was allow that black wash of color to live on a little bit more consistent of a surface that makes it look a little bit more intentional. So yeah, dude, this is the vibe, man. This is the vibe today. Is it my typical vibe? No. Is it awesome and exciting, and was it like fun and easy? Yes. Yeah, actually. I feel like the textures really make it easy. Oh, the way that the light hits it. Are you kidding? It's wild. Wild. Okay, let's discuss the prices and the description on each of these 4 products if you were to buy them individually real quick, and then I will give you guys my final thoughts. Rubber Lash is $39. Latex Lift Mascara. Black as night, slick moves. Rubber Lash is a high-tech lifting mascara that stretches lashes up and out using proprietary latex lift technology. Concentrated polymers and waxes grip lashes for better hold and sculpt lashes one by one, root to tip, delivering up to 16 hours of smudge-proof wear. Rubber Lash envelops lashes in a flexible, glossy film with no smearing, no flaking, just major volume and light as air lift, just like a lash lift in a tube. All her stuff is vegan, cruelty-free, and paraben-free. BT dubs. Removable and reusable stainless steel piercing? It's real? Well, of course it is, Cac. Ew! Of course it is. That would make so much sense for her to use something that was already prefab. You know what I mean? All she had to do was pierce her packaging. It's not all she had to do, but like, you know? And then I did it. The Industrial Color Pigments eyeshadow palette. It is $115. Metal Glint and Diesel Fume. Industrial Color Pigments is a rebellion against beauty convention, a grunge-inspired palette with a punk purview, featuring 14 richly pigmented eyeshadow shades from soft mattes to cosmic metallics, not for the faint of heart, created for non-conformists. Presented in a custom lacquered black case, these shades were selected by Isamaya for sublime creativity. Apply with fingers, blend with a brush, apply on eyes, or paint on your face. No rules, no boundaries. Add water to pigments to intensify or use as liner. Rebel calling, time to break free. And that package for the eyeshadow is made from 30% post-consumer recycled and mixed materials. Brow lac, $32 for our little friend here with our little comb that I have surely already swallowed. A top coat for your brows, brow lac, delivers a brow lamination effect without the commitment. The clear soap-like formula grips every brow hair and locks in place. A hairspray-inspired film former envelops every brow hair and keeps in place for hours while glycerin conditions and adds a wet-like shine. No flakes or clumps, just a clean, glassy sculpt. Use alone or combine with your favorite brow product for a freeze effect. Dramatic brows with sterling definition. The lip lac, $38. These are luxury price points. She knew what she was going for out of the gate here. Bee stung lips without needles. Lip lac gives a just bitten tint and glass-like shine. Triple moisture restore tech features 3 different weights of hyaluronic acid to penetrate and plump up lips from deep within. A proprietary botanical lip puffer cocktail features capsicum, fruit extract, soybean oil, and ginger oil, stimulates natural circulation and enhances the appearance of lips for an instant volumizing and warming effect, but it's not like the turn your lips red, you know, painful, spicy, obnoxious, like that you hate, you know what I mean? I mean, some people like it, I don't. Lips are left plumped with a vinyl-like finish, supreme shine without the stick. And then finally, the one that I didn't get is her skin lac, is glass skin in a bottle in one universal shimmer-free shade. The makeup skincare hybrid can be used before makeup application to deliver the smoothest glide or after makeup to add natural looking luminosity. Multifunctional emollients lock in moisture and add translucent shine and bounce, while 3 different weights of hyaluronic acid plump up skin. Shake over use and apply without caution on cheeks, eyes, and all over face for a flushed, healthy sheen like humidity on tap. It is, I have to admit, absolutely gorgeous. And to be honest, I kind of forgot about it until I watched her video because I really thought that the like PR mailer that I bought had everything. And the fact that I didn't get that in there, I was like, oh, oops. So this being the vibe today, guys, let's go ahead and chat final thoughts here. I will start like, you know, from like smallest and go to largest. How's that? The eyebrow gel, the brow lac. Like, yes, yes. It does exactly what it says it's going to do. It's very easy to work with. It's very easy to adjust after the fact. And it does actually have a really, really comfortable level of hold. And then you can also work with other things on top of it. But I should mention, I have, in the grand scheme of things, very cooperative eyebrows. Not everything on me is very cooperative, but my eyebrows are very cooperative. They do the things that I ask them to do. So I don't have either super sparse eyebrows or eyebrows that kind of have their own growth pattern that, like, you know, sticks out or anything. Like, lamination is more of an aesthetic thing for me. It's not something where I'm actually trying to persuade my eyebrows to stop doing something else, dear God, because I've seen that, you know what I mean? Like, Leanne went through several iterations of just trying to figure out how to get her freaking eyebrows to lay down on her skin. And Hannah has had similar, you know, wants and needs, and she kind of found that in the Refi Brow Gel. But the Refi Brow Gel, while it probably has like a slightly gluier hold than this, it also behaves more like glue. It does flake. It doesn't like really stand up to workability the way that this does. And I find this to be not even a happy medium. It's like, it comes in, locks them in, does what it says it's gonna do, and it's not hard. It doesn't feel hard to the touch. So yeah, I really like how it looks, and it's an ideal product for me. I think it's really, really pretty. Talking about the lip gloss, this is probably the thing I am like the most underwhelmed with in the whole collection, just because it does exist other places. That said, we're talking about like the worst of the best. Like, these are all extremely good. They are all worth my money. I paid my money for these and I have no regrets at all. It's just one of them had to be the least memorable. This is probably the least memorable. Now, I'm not sure this exact combo exists elsewhere. I like the plumping quality of it. It is a nice level of plumping that is not uncomfortable at all, but it's also not minty. It's just kind of that little bit of like spiciness. Sorry if you can, it's all the clicking of this like package as I'm holding it. e.l.f. makes something like this. Things like this exist, but that's why they're viral on TikTok. That's why like black honey was viral on TikTok, is because universal things like this, especially when they transform from inside the package, which it does actually look burgundy in there, you know? So it is interesting. I guess it's got a burgundy reflection in it, so that makes sense, like a little bit of pink. But it makes sense that that would be something that would be like a first release from her. Like, this makes perfect sense. It's got a little bit of kind of like a goth thing to it, but it's also really like sexy. And you could argue that if you're gonna put out one color, this is technically a universal shade. It does have a transforming quality on every lip color. So there is that, and I still really, really dig it, and I really think it looks fantastic and it's super comfortable to wear. It's just kind of something that's like a little bit finicky and sort of a one-trick pony. That's all. Next, from smallest to largest, the mascara actually lifts and curls my lashes. I could do a better job by actually curling them, but like there's actual like a curl shape to my lashes from putting this on. Ooh. It's still kind of flexible to the touch. How neat is that? I thought they were gonna be really, really stiff, but they're actually kind of nice and flexible. So that's nice because it's not drying my lashes out, it's actually kind of nourishing. And when I did this before and I washed this off, this actually washed off really easily. I was pretty impressed with how easily it washed off. And I think that as it matures in the tube, I expect it to get a little bit like clumpier and more fun to use. And for being black, 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 first of all, it makes sense that it's black, black, black going with the rest of the collection. Like, I would want it to be that to show up against this eyeshadow palette. But I mean, I don't think it's bad on me when I typically wear brown, you know? I think that it's definitely like giving me this really, really nice impact. I also like, oddly enough, like I usually prefer, if I'm gonna wear a black mascara, that it be like a really matte black, but there's something really awesome about how like glossy it is. It makes my eyelashes look healthy and not like frozen. Everything about this is like very touchable looking. It's like inviting, even though it's like, you know, rough around the edges. There's something really inviting about the textures. They all look very like kind of soft and supple. Isn't that interesting? It's like hard and soft. Love that juxtaposition for us. And then I truly actually love how I went into this eyeshadow palette, specifically in this video, with plans of trying to use the wearable shades to give myself something a little bit more like on the beaten path, because I had gone straight in with that like, you know, lacquer look black with the first look because I just had to get it out of my system. But we ended up with something so fantastic, in my opinion, and so distinctly this palette. Now, I mean, obviously I could use this same configuration, the same shape on my eyes with any palette that offers, you know, anything with like contrast and different textures. But short of going and buying individual shadows and trying to just like dupe this for exactly what it is, you probably still wouldn't really nail it. There is so much to be said for this as a capsule. This particular palette as a capsule. The capsule is a capsule, yes, but this particular palette as one fleshed out vision, as it were. And the way that they all cooperate with each other, the way that the actual like nuances of not just the textures, but also the shifts on the textures cooperate with one another. It feels like she studied each one under a microscope, like she took vats of each one and massaged them into her skin, like she wore them for like years and years before she was able to like decide just the differences in the textures and things like that. This to me expresses a true passion and a really unique viewpoint. Like, I don't even know if I necessarily agree with putting two very similar black putty shadows in a palette. But that just says something about her vision being extremely clear. That like she wanted you to know that it was valuable to her to have one that was matte black and one that was a black shift pearly blue. That mattered to her. It's like someone playing a note you can't hear just because they need to complete the chord, you know? So I will be watching Isamaya's career, her future career, with great interest because the whole thing is just so inspired and so fascinating, and I really feel like I got a taste of what she has cooking around in her brain. Just a taste. And like, I'm excited to see more. So yeah, guys, thank you for requesting this and for kind of almost insisting that this would be something that you'd like to see me review, because I love when makeup makes me think differently about how to do my makeup. It makes me think differently about what's in my comfort zone and like what looks good on me, because this is so much fun and it just gets my juices flow and it gets my brain churning on different ideas, and it really just starts to spark creativity for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, do give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to keep hanging out with me on this channel, hit the button down below and subscribe. I would love it if you guys did. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.